This week on Hermitcraft.
Everything the light touches is ours.
Why would he say that at night? Welcome to the Hermitcraft Recap. My name is PixelRiffs. Our writer's Loy XP. Captions on this video are provided by Liara. And we know nature is healing because Scar is building planetoids, Pearl is moving builds, and Cubfan is making a golf course.
I just do the normal thing.
Yeah,
you
do the normal thing.
Like, that's it.
We're half a year into Hermitcraft Season 11, at least as far as recap coverage goes, and I think we can safely declare this one an all-timer. What so far it lacks in server unifying or entertainingly server dividing arcs of permits, civil wars, demises, or button-based social experiments, it more than makes up for with drop-in collabs, some magnificent bases, landscaping triumphs, and the looming spectacle of Decked Out 3. Let us know how you're feeling about Season 11 in the comments, and while you're composing your thoughts, let's take a look at all the events and mishaps that occurred on the Hermitcraft server this week. Starting with Grian, who comes home to a very strong argument for holding shift.
Grian, do not activate that dispenser. I wouldn't cross this line. How did he set it up without setting it off? Is this what they call in the business checkmate?
As you might remember, Mumbo Jumbo has pointed a very threatening dispenser at Grian's infamous exploding chandelier, and since the thing is made of 100% legit end crystals, one wrong step could set off a skulk sensor, terminating a now season-long Chekhov's bomb, as well as probably Grian. Well, Grian sets it off pretty much right away, though luckily for him the threat is only a decoy. But unluckily for everyone, this means prank war.
You really thought I would do that? Don't worry, Mumbo. I waxed your chains for you, just in case you forgot.
At least according to Mumbo, Grian is actually too enthralled in his own base to retaliate. Last time on Hermitcraft, Grian actually completed the hill upholding his magical observatory, so he's all too eager to actually build it. Which he does, mostly. The octagonal tube arises to meet the stars, and to better see those stars, Grian puts a detailed cog-operated telescope at the side of it. Worry not, this build is also upsettingly explosive because he decided to use charged respawn anchors as decoration. And call me old-fashioned, but I feel like losing half your roof is not worth the 4-pixel yellow dot.
I'm fully expecting some disasters.
Continuing the planetary theme, intergalactic theme, a planetary theme, Good Times with Scar decides that his next shop simply has to be a Saturn replica flying real low.
Both being a backdrop for our base and a future shop in the shopping district.
Mostly this is to feed into his obsession with getting launched by the wind charges, and since he can't figure out how to launch into space with it, he simply brings space to him. This brings some very interesting implications to Wells Knight's samurai base, since the ringed meatball is very much visible over the fortress walls. Worry not, pretty sure historically the samurai were actually in space, as was the rest of the planet.
What if this was a rocket and it launches you to a planet? Yep, but I also have to do this video in 48 hours. Yeah, I'm terrified.
Now that Grian has built an observatory, it's time for everybody to work on their observational comedy, and DocM77 has the last laugh.
Because if you ask me, it's like, why on earth are you looking over there? It's there, dude.
He also observes that Buttons the Snowman is now in his flight path, and it's only a matter of time before he finds his natural home in Doc's icy kingdom, at which point he presumably evolves into Olaf.
Oh no! And the window's closed. Wait, what? No. We can't have that. That is my flight path here, Gem.
But when it comes to the Whack-A-Scar shop, the cool, calculating side of Doc M was outmatched in his machinations by the community, who suggested that instead of a crowd-funded total, he should have a bidding war. So now players not only have the opportunity to pay diamonds towards Scar receiving constant, unavoidable damage, they also have a chance to forestall that by paying diamonds into the other barrel. With this devious functionality in place, Doc makes up for accidentally claiming land that False Symmetry wanted by advertising her shop on the back of his sign.
Ah, look at that. We got a full head now. Doo-doo.
He then completes the shop decor, making the inside upsettingly fleshy, and adding sound effects to the manual whacking mode. Corrales is the first person to see the finished shop, and his shocked face says it all. Yet somehow Doc is not the only one with a commitment to ruining another hermit based on a Season 10 grudge. This week, Skizzleman decides to focus on destroying Joel's smallish beans, purely because he missed the opportunity to drop on him with a mace when they had beef last season.
It was brilliant. I had distractions set up. I was going to mace him.
Looks like the hammer just found a nail.
And it didn't work out.
He time-lapses a planning room, during which people on stream questioned whether or not he was doing okay, and eventually it turns into a trophy room when the first assassination is successful. Skiz dives on Joel with a spear, and while the impact doesn't take him out, the flame enchantment does the rest of the deed for him. Skiz goes on to commemorate this with an armor stand diorama, but with the devil on his shoulder appeased, he goes back to performing much more virtuous acts, like awarding Impulse's Back Alley Deals the Most Clever Side Story award in the shopping district.
I still gotta redo that drum piece for him.
Other innovations in retail are happening over at Vintage Beef's 1980s-inspired shopping mall, where the food court gets places to return your trays and drop off your trash before it gets any actual food. But the actual food rolls out in the form of a pretzel wagon, which is lovingly named Pretzel Wagon in the following episode, and staffed by 2 villagers who are kept from escaping their perpetual work shift by the application of honey mustard to the floor.
Yes, I did it! Ah, take that, you losers. Oh, I don't need this anymore.
While the next project may not sell food, we're eating up the design of this computer shop, which, this being the 80s, is selling exclusively Commodore 64s thanks to Hoffen modeling them. The shop also has exactly the right amount of floppy disks to install precisely 1 video game, and copious instruction manuals on the shelves behind the counter.
Oh, the Commodore 64. The Commodore stack, we'll call it. 64, get it?
Rendog has been writing his own instruction manual, a to-do list which is so magical it's become an arcane text.
I've just put that here so that it reminds me to deal with the mouse that I have in my... it's a real-life problem. We're thinking about Gardaran right now, so...
Among those wizardly deeds is the establishment of a cleric trading hall so he can access infinite bottles of enchanting, and then figuring out what to trade the clerics if his supply of zombie flesh doesn't satisfy their demands.
And enjoy the complimentary peanuts. We've got a very long journey back to the capital.
Not on the to-do list, but of equal importance, is that most magical of tasks, smashing a dragon in the face with a hammer.
No! That's good! You like Ren, go through the portal! Go through the portal!
It's
closed!
Oh,
no. Somebody get them!
But once he's back from that, more head-banging experiences await. Azuma shares with him the magic of the riff, demonstrating an armor stand that rocks out to a Meshuggah riff. And being Meshuggah, it's basically a mathematical equation in song form, so Azuma has rigged it up to a central redstone clock which drives the song, instead of the typical note block approach where every note is played in sequence. This musical interlude also sees Ren touring Azuma's base, with a focus on the art gallery, also he can be present for the unveiling of his own album cover, which is of course Ren DMC.
Next.
I've got one extra little thing just for you. You'll understand when I place it on the wall here.
Alright. No ways, dude!
As for how Azuma even has a fart version of anything, this is luckily not a live recording. Mojang has introduced a very interesting trumpet variant into the note block range, and Azuma makes it his mission to use it for something, it's just that the only something he can think of is death metal. Sounds about right, I'm pretty much dying over here.
Oh, what is this abomination I've created?
Of other amazing musical feats, with some help Azuma tapes canonical Minecraft Silence to a music disc. Absurd as it sounds, the idea is that since the parrots won't dance to regular note blocks, he can get them to dance to some silence on a music disc while note blocks play. Which also means he's playing something on a frequency only parrots can hear.
They ain't they're dancing! Oh! And it's synchronized so well with the music. Oh my god.
XB Crafted is the other X who gives it to Rendog, although he also taketh away, performing a magical disappearing act on one of Ren's shulker boxes, implying the shulker is still alive somewhere in there and has teleported to the nearest high place.
How's it going?
Where did you come from, man? What the heck?
What are you talking about? I've been here this whole time.
XB has a thing or two to say about the ethics of villager trading, but also gives Ren an impromptu base tour, although he's now working on the next phase of his base, as the cave below will be transformed into a copper mine that suits the world building of the society above. This requires the digging of an elevator shaft leading to a horizontal mine shaft, so a time lapse inevitably follows. But once the decorations are in, it certainly looks the part, and we think the fact that he's letting light levels get as low as 1 in some areas is character growth.
I feel like this is more of an XB episode than what I've been doing.
Cubfan135, meanwhile, regresses to the last time when he built a Trident golf course and, you guessed it, starts building another one. But as the Sulfur Cube is nowhere in the game yet, we're back to Trident golfing, launching oneself using a Riptide Trident, then transferring that momentum into an Ender Pearl throw to cross significant distances and hopefully into the goal hole. And if not, placing a water source and trying again. Which, yes, means that the players will be gradually disintegrating the play area.
Worse, I'm also going to come over here and replace my divot, which you got to do periodically.
To combat that, Cub is already stockpiling green dye of all kinds, building himself a cactus and sea pickle farm, and even securing the Roman Empire trade route by confronting Keralis about a bulk order discount for terracotta. Keralis, being the minigame king, agrees to the halving of the price, securing himself many XP crafted collabs in the future.
Now I just need to convince my kids to grind some terracotta.
As the might of his empire grows and expands, Keralis decides it might as well smell amazing and builds up a massive lavender field right outside the city limits. Something to block out the fishing market he just finished building. The field actually takes him to farming resources one usually wouldn't, like alliums and lilacs, and even just the tall grass. The redstone may have gotten better, but you still can't beat building with bushes.
Downside is like looking at it from above, without the shaders. Because it does, like, maybe, I'm not gonna do it, okay? Because that, no way. No. But maybe using another ground texture.
The Dread Pirate Jevin does not take as kindly to a golf course showing up at the edge of his hideout, especially not when he has expansion plans of his own. Now, having gotten way into the groove of building pirate ships, having put multiple new ones between his man-of-war vessels, Jevin decides that he should absolutely be doing some actual piracy.
Now we get to bug people while they're playing golf as well. That's awesome.
Which is why more pirate boats might pop up on the shoreline of other hermits' bases to stand there, menacingly. Too bad only half of Grian's River is finished.
Doing each individual ship, and maybe it would be fun for you guys to theme some of them.
This feels like the perfect time to point out that Joel Smallish Beans has a lighthouse in his base. And a massive snow golem, though not anymore.
And there's a very easy way to do that, actually. If I go to this button here, stare at it, and then press it, and then you zoom out, and oh my gosh, it's all gone!
Buttons the Snowman has now been put under a cup and carefully relocated to Gemini Tay's netherwart field, also known as Gemini Tay's back of her house. That's what she gets for having not built it. The back of Joel's base, in the meantime, has been expanding, thanks to the granite supply of the underground depleting rapidly. Joel's borderline fracking at least creates a suitable rock foundation for his giant tower of chests, vaguely resembling a building.
Most of them are chests, kind of a lot of chests, but you know, some fun materials in there as well.
It makes sense that Joel would want the next big stage of his base to start with a suitable storage solution, but it is also very intimidating just how big he's planning to make it. Mostly because someone will 100% fill it with dried ghasts when given the opportunity. And the ceiling is just free space for Skittleman to drop from.
With a quick spin! And when we stop... Whoa. Oh my gosh. Okay, I turned my sensitivity up for this.
It might actually take Gem some extra time to discover the towering snowman, since she's now building interior first and has just entered the cellar. Now, basement forward building in Minecraft generally means the player only emerging once a year to see how long their shadow is getting. But as Gem is dealing with the barrels and drinks, she can't help but bother Pearlescent Moon for sea pickles for cups, and Mumbo Jumbo for tips on being 30, as opposed to thirst for being tipsy.
Worse. Ill week. It's not good. It's not good. I tell you what, in 20 days' time, I go to bed.
Well done, this is very important.
In other age-appropriate news, Zombie Cleo appears to have spilled some juice onto these transparent maps. How clumsy of them.
Little drippy blood. Massive drippy blood. Not too pleased with the shape of this one.
Jokes aside, while no one was looking, Cleo has acquired an impressive collection of bloodstain PNGs that they can stick on whatever surface an item frame can go on, including this cool combo that makes it look like someone smashed their head against the edge of a block. Tragically, none of the handprints have the "We Know" written on them. What we do know is that Cleo has finished another level of their ancient pyramid, and the rest of the pyramid, but with no detail, judging by some clips in False Symmetry's video. Still, the devil's in the details, so there's a lot of the devil to add.
But from here, it's pretty good.
And speak of the devil, False Symmetry is here to announce that this deep in the season, her real megabase begins now. This frames her enormous aqueduct system as just the starter house, so that's fun. But really, with her base getting logarithmically bigger with every consecutive video, it's about time she ripped the band-aid and approached the project whole scale. For the viewer's convenience, False outlines her ambitions in white on a screenshot, because otherwise it does look like she just snapped one day and started putting up giant shapes made of stone. Worry not, the arches still have the ornamental A-frames.
Yeah, you may have seen in the background, we've also got Joel coming on over.
I don't know where he's stopping, but, you know, he's coming on over.
As Joe Hill settles in for a nostalgic look back at the gamer's Outreach stream from last month, he overshoots the flashbacks a little and reminds us that his bridge made of gravity-affected blocks was sacrificed for the bit when the server tour was going on.
Let's go.
Joe, how do you feel of your stage being turned into a parkour race?
I mean, this is really what it's for.
But after he's set up a zombie spawner behind his bone shop so he can get enough XP to rename the bones, I guess, Scar shows up to advertise the bank and gets drawn into the reverie of charity fundraising related good times. Joe peppers in the clips here and there, so we'll let you watch along for your favourites, although we'd just like to point out that singing "We Didn't Start the Fire" is especially ironic for this season of Hermitcraft.
I went so high that we could have done this way lower.
We could have done this anywhere, man.
Joe's commitment to the accuracy of his bone shop, which is inspired by a real building in Nashville, extends to committing to the anatomical accuracy of the 12-foot skeleton outside. So rather than capturing a Minecraft skeleton and giving it some platform shoes, Joe works on an armor stand statue where each bone is roughly to scale based on the ratios of a model he has in real life.
I've got an actual skeleton, well, an actual plastic Halloween skeleton in the studio with me, and I'm measuring with a ruler the ratios of the bone sizes.
Is this the 7-foot tall skeleton you were talking about the other day?
Well, it's going to be 12 foot tall.
The skull is acquired later from an ancient city under very tense circumstances. So it's no surprise that Joe wants some more soothing creatures around and adopts a few wolves to guard and occasionally receive the bones at the shop. This won't keep all eldritch creatures away, but in Zombie Cleo's case, they're just there to approve the armor stand work and disapprove of Joe making bone shopping more complicated.
So therefore, I'm correct, I feel.
Okay.
I hate that you
Wait.
they hate that you did this.
While we're on the subject of armor stand appraisal, Pearlescent Moon has nothing but good things to say about the custom cockatoo Cleo made flying between the cliffside trees. She's touring the area with Scar at the time, and he's trying to convince her to make a firefighter calendar, especially since the hot guy calendars were such a success. He also has a sales pitch for the bank, but the thunderstorm happening at the time changes the vibe a bit.
What, are we getting the
Here
full
in the
mood
municipality,
effect?
everything the light touches is ours. Oh my
god. Okay, dramatic. Yeah, that sounds like the most evil thing that you've said all season.
Although maybe the lightning just senses more of the server members are about to turn 30. Before she can build a fire station at the shopping district, though, Pearl has to change something about this fire station. The placement of the fire training tower has been bugging her for a while, so she moves it to the outer edge of the base where it won't affect the skyline as much. She then adds a road leading to it, which is immediately made redundant by her building a helicopter on top of the tower, which itself is made redundant by her floating by to look at it on a happy ghast. And as Mumbo pops up to remind us, these handmade details hit different when these are your hands.
I find it funny.
That's about it for this week's recap. Our writer is LoyXP and my name is Pixel Riffs. Captions on this video were provided by Liara. Don't forget to leave a like while you're still here and subscribe so you won't miss future recaps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.